Hi, Devin. Hi, Greg.
Good afternoon.
We're gonna get started shortly. Let's give it 1 or 2 minutes.
Professor. Professor Roberts.
Yes, please.
Hey, this is James Fleming. How are you?
Very well, thank you, James. How about yourself?
I had surgery last week, so I missed all of class last week. I'm a vet, and I have knee surgery on my right knee. Unbeknownst to me, I went there to get an injection, and they ended up doing surgery. So on top of that, I had done a trouble ticket with Cengage. And Cengage stating that CompTIA security modules were being updated, and they were supposed to have sent you a message letting you know that I guess I can't speak for anybody else, but myself could not access Cengage, which means, quite a few of my assignments were incomplete. And I saved the message from them and I forwarded to your email. Wasn't sure if you got it or not.
Okay, so I am in talks with them. We're trying to resolve the issue. I also posted an announcement that once the issue is resolved, I'll let everyone know. And yes, I got your email.
Okay,
Yeah,
awesome. Yep, thanks, Professor.
no
But I'm here
problem.
now.
That's good. I hope you feel better.
Thank you so much. Mhm.
Ooh. Okay, can everyone hear me, see me, and see my screen? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good. This week we're going to cover three modules. Those three modules are identity and access management, infrastructure, infrastructure monitoring, and infrastructure security. So those are the three modules that we are going to cover. Where are those now? Modules 7, modules 8, and modules 9, infrastructure threat and security monitoring, and infrastructure security. As I mentioned, the virtual labs are still having issues right now. However, the quizzes and the simulations you can complete the virtual labs we are working on. Okay, so let's get started. Me one moment. Let me record. Yes, we record this session in the cloud. So let's discuss identity and access management. Like I always say, one fundamental in understanding every concept in security is what? In technology is what? If you've been in this class consistent and long enough, you should know that what my philosophy around understanding technology concept is. Who wants to try? I say this thing virtually in every class. Is first understand the English interpretation. Once you understand the English interpretation of the terminologies, just bring them together. You piece the puzzle already. you've understood, by so doing, you've understood at least 50% of the core concepts, like the goal. 100% you'll understand the goal of the module. So when we say identity and access management, or identity and access management, so what are we talking about? Identity and access management, what are we talking about? Let's go, let's go, let's go. We talked about it even first day of class. So when we talk about the principles of cybersecurity, we talk about IEEE, identity, authentication, authorization, auditing, or accounting. But now I want to dive deeper into identity and how, okay, let's take it one at a time. What is identity?
The identity would actually be the name of the owner of that particular computer server or system.
Okay, so how does that relate to access management?
The proprietary information, I would say the architect of the actual system itself,
Mm,
providing access to those who belong with the access.
Who belong, those who belong, providing access to those who belong. So identifying people, identity, and giving them access based on their identity, right? Or denying access based on their identity. So relying on identity or identifying people and granting them access, pretty much. Simply put, just going by that English interpretation. So what's the difference between identifying yourself and proving who you are? Is there a difference between identifying yourself and proving who you are?
Professor, that's deep. I want to say yes, there is, because proving who you are, meaning that you are applying for access because you are valid to have access. And then identifying who you are means you've already been given access and you just got to put in the right credentials.
I think you just flipped it.
Oh, okay. All right.
Who wants to also chime in here? What's the difference between identifying yourself and proving who you are, even in the natural world, even in general? It doesn't have to be technical. In general, is there a difference between identifying yourself and proving who you are? Is there a difference between identifying yourself and proving who you are?
I'm gonna take another crack at it, Professor.
Okay.
All right. So identifying yourself and proving who you are, there is no difference.
Okay.
You remind me of my mama.
There is a difference. There is a difference. I could say I'm James Fleming. Is there a way
Yes,
to prove
ma'am.
that I'm James Fleming?
Yes.
If I identify myself as James Fleming,
Yes,
right,
ma'am. Right?
then I need to prove it.
Yes, ma'am. And see,
So,
that's what I was getting to in my first answer.
so, so you got
You
it
said
right.
you said I flipped it.
You flipped it, right?
Right.
So I could say an attacker could steal your username and say James.Fleming.
Right.
That's the username. But the way they prove it is to provide James Fleming password or their biometrics or their access card, something like that.
Okay, the
That's how they
authentication.
prove it.
Right. Authentication app.
Authentication, very good. Authentication. So that is actually the difference. Now, why do so many systems still rely on passwords and username? If indeed there's a difference between identifying yourself and proving who you are, because You know, someone could still steal the password, stand behind you, shoulder soft, get your password or your PIN, right?
Right.
So in that vein, why do you think so many systems still rely on just username and passwords?
I would say the reason why they rely on just username and passwords is because they have not experienced the hacking and the expense to hacking, along with, the repercussions of the law with with being hacked. They haven't experienced that yet, so they devalue the encryption and the firewalls to protect the security and the integrity of everyone that's authenticated within their network, whether it's a customer or whether it's a client or whether it's an employee-based network. They have not, secured it because of their devaluing of being hacked and losing credibility with information and causing, fraud.
Okay, fair point. I would want someone else to take your shot now. Which authentication method, or even everybody, feel free to use the chat if you don't want to unmute yourself. Which authentication method do you use most in your daily life? Which authentication method do you use most in your daily life? Devin, Greg, Ahmed, facial recognition, very good. Two-step user authentication. What do you mean by two-step user authentication, Miguel? What does that mean? Okay, where they send a code to your number. Okay. All right, very good. Then that's where we're going. Like RSA code to access a laptop. Very good, Greg. That's a good one. So we're going to talk about everything identity and access management today. By the end of this module, I'll help you understand the different types of authentication. We use password, we use pins, we use facial recognition, we use those tokens that come through that are sent to our phones, right? However, they fall under different categories of authentication. I help you understand that, and we'll list the different authentication best practices and define access control as well as explain how access control works. Okay. When it comes to authentication, there are different concepts. There's the concept of what you know. I'll start with that. Concept of something that you know. When I say something that you know, give me an example of something that you know that you can use to authenticate or that you use to authenticate all the time. Or mute or use the chat. What is something that you know that you use to authenticate all the time? Your password. Your favorite color. Very good. Your password. That's your security question, right? That's something that you know. Very good. Yes. Security questions. What else? What about your PIN? What about your passphrase? So that's a concept of something that you know. There's also another concept of something that you have. Something that you have. That thing is with you. You have it. What will that be? Something that you have. Unmute or use the chat. What's the concept of something that you have? Muting. When we say something that you have, what do we, give me an example of something that you have that you can use to authenticate. Something that you have. Birthday is not something that you have. It's something that you know, actually. And your social security number can also be considered something that you know. So let's talk about something that you have. Your ID card, very good. What about when you're transferring funds? Yes, your driver's license is something that you have. Yes. Your passport, yes. What about when you are trying to transfer funds? You want to use Zelle, something that you have. There is something about the banking information though. Not just banking information in general. There's something about the banking information. Milton, are you in class today? Something that you have. Come on, come on, come on, come on. You send money every day. Ahmed, what is something that you have that you can use to authenticate? There's something we all use every day. I'm just waiting for someone to tell me what that thing is. Yes, but PayPal will send you something. Your PayPal will send you something. Your bank card, maybe the CVV there, but they send you something too. They send something to your phone. No, it's not the notification. It's not the notification. It is the
Confirmation.
guys,
Confirmation number.
Say that again, Philip.
Confirmation number.
Confirmation. Is it confirmation number that you get? You get a code. Do you not get a code? The one-time code.
Oh, right, the 6-digit code.
Exactly. Come on. That's something that you have. You have it because your phone is registered. So you have your phone. So if someone steals your password and they don't have your phone, or they don't have your number, or they don't have access to your email, then they wouldn't be able to authenticate. So that's the concept of something that you have. Now, when we talk about something that's something that you know, something that you have, then something that you are. Now, this one is easy. Something that you are, that you use to authenticate every day. What is that thing? What is that thing? Devin, what is that thing that you are that you use to authenticate? Fingerprint. Thank you, Greg. Facial recognition. All right, your retina scan. That is unique to you. That is something that you are. Okay, so there is that concept of something that you know, something that you have, something that you are. There is also a concept of somewhere that you are at. Have you ever traveled to a new location and you try to log into a new computer or log in from a new location, and your authenticator or your Google or your service provider asks you to verify that this is you logging in from so and so IP address in this new location, right? Have you ever experienced that? So say you go to another state, you go to another city, or you are even logging in from a different computer. Have you ever seen a situation where Google will send you something to say, hey, we see new authentication attempt, verify that it's you?
Yes. especially if
Yes,
it's from a different location other than your IP address.
your primary location,
Right.
right? So the place where you are at also matters. So someone, you might be here in the state of Maryland, and someone is trying to log into your account from another state. With that context where kind of access control in place, they would fail, because then you will receive a notification and you just say, it's not me, right? There are also situations where organizations are serving customers in specific region. I was talking to someone yesterday and it was like, oh, my mobile app is not available in the United States, but I will make some modification so that I can make it available to you so you can help me check and test the application, right? There are several organizations in the United States as well that do not do business with certain countries. So they do what is called geo-blocking. So they block certain regions from accessing their services. So that's the concept of some place that you are. It could also be restricted military base. It could be based on your IP address. Then, so we've covered something that you know, something that you have, something that you are, somewhere that you are at. Then there is a concept of something that you exhibit, or something that that's yes, something that you exhibit, like genetically determined characteristics. That's a trait that you exhibit. There is also the concept of something you can do or something you do. So this concept of something you do is not often used, but it exists. It could be an activity that you perform, like your signature. That is something that you could do. It could also be the way you type. There are some sensitive environment where even though the person knows the password, even though an attacker has stolen the password, if they're unable to type the way the original owner of that account types, then they wouldn't be granted access. And that is measured by what is called the dwell time and the flight time. So the dwell time is how long your finger rests on a key. The flight time is the time between keys. Okay? The dwell time is how long your finger rests on the key. The flight time is the time between keys. That is measured and used to support authentication when people supply what they know in terms of password, passphrase, or PIN. Okay, so that falls under the category of something someone can do. Or you see it in areas in physical security where there's a particular way somebody walks, there's a particular way they walk when they approach the vault, right? The vault will, then they supply their password. The vault opens up for them because they approached that vault the way you have seen this, if not in real world, maybe in movies. But if they are unable to gate the way the person will gate, then they will not be granted access. So there are these different concepts of authentication. All right, there are these different concepts of authentication. Now, when you merge 2 or 3 of them together, when you merge more than one together, that becomes multi-factor authentication. That's where you see when they say someone is using multi-factor authentication. Okay, so take for example, if I use a PIN and password, Is that multi-factor authentication? So PIN plus password. Is that multi-factor authentication? Greg says yes. PIN and password, is that multi-factor authentication? Anybody else? Greg says it's a yes. Come on, guys. Does PIN and password make for multi-factor authentication?
Yes,
Does PIN and
PIN and
password?
password and the passcode as well, Professor.
Okay. So wait, James,
Yes,
calm
ma'am.
down.
Professor, I'm trying to help. You know, don't nobody participate.
I said PIN and password.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right. So no, ma'am. The answer would be no for just PIN and password. No.
Exactly. But when you have the passcode, then it is something you know and something you have.
Yes,
But
ma'am.
PIN and password is something that they are both things that you know. All right. So PIN and password does not make for multi-factor authentication. Okay. Right. So, but if it's the PIN and the passcode or the password and the passcode or the passphrase, then that is multi-factor authentication. So you can see like using a key, using your fingerprint and a code, that is multi-factor authentication. But if everything is something that you know, it does not make for multi-factor authentication. Everybody knows what password is. Password is something that you know. Best practices for password is to make them multi-character. Nice says that instead of using password, you're better off using a long passphrase than password. And I say, who says that password has to be in English language? If you speak other language other than the English language, why not? If not, right? So passwords is in general best practice. Make it long or make it a passphrase. Use a different language. Make it more complex. And some of the weaknesses when it comes to password is the fact that we reuse them because we cannot keep too many passwords in our brain. We reuse them. So the major weakness is linked to our memory. Long, complex password, yes, effective. Because we need to remember password for many different accounts we tend to reuse again. Then each account password must be unique, but again, the limitation is human memory, keeping unique password across different accounts. Then many security policies need to mandate that password policies or passwords expire. All right. So password is often one of the most popular, is actually one of the most popular ways of authentication. And so it's important to have password policies. Majority of us don't even have password policies on our computer, or we have the default policies on our computer. And last week we talked about hardening your computer. So a way to harden your computer is to set a complex password policy for the users of your computer. So when it comes to attacking passwords, one of the ways to attack password is brute force attack. So brute force attack is trying every possible combinations of letters and passwords and characters in an attempt to, get into a user's account. There are so many tools that are used for brute forcing attack. Cain and Abel is one of them. is one of the most popular ones. Unfortunately, this is not an ethical hacking class, but brute forcing is just trying to force your way through. And one of the ways to limit the effect or the impact of brute forcing is what? You would have experienced it before, where you're trying, maybe you forgot your password and you tried a number of times, but you couldn't get in. There is a way where the settings will limit you from trying multiple times, right? Has anyone experienced that before, where you're limited from trying multiple times? Yes. So it's called account lockout, right? You try three times or 5 times and you get locked out. That is ideal for user accounts. Do you think that account lockout, like locking users out after multiple failed trials, is ideal for servers? Do you think it's ideal for servers as well? Like if you've tried to access this server and you can't access this server, just lock out the user. Do you think that that is ideal for servers as well? I would like people to share their thoughts on this one. Account lockout for servers, is it ideal? Milton. Jim says yes, it is. Greg says yes, it is. It's like it's only Greg and Milton and Philip that are in class today. Milton, are you in class? Because I called you multiple times and I didn't hear you respond. Ahmed, is it ideal to have account lockout for servers? All right. So when you think about it, what if the intention of the attacker is Milton, I see your response now. What if the intention of the attacker is to actually lock that user out? Remember, we talked about the core principles: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So what if the intention of the attacker is to lock out the legitimate user from accessing their account? So they just pick the username and try wrong password multiple times. So when it comes to administrative accounts, server accounts, service accounts, it's often not the best practice to do account lockout, because then it could become an availability issue if the attacker's goal is to perform denial of service attack. Okay. Then we have password spraying. Password spraying attacks select one or a few common passwords. So when you go to, if you just merely Googling commonly, just Google commonly used passwords. These are the 200 most commonly used passwords as Notepad had put out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Password 1, 2, 3, I love you. God is good. Test, secret, test 1, 2, 3, QWRT, Z. You see, these are the 200 most commonly used passwords, something like this. So password spraying is using this commonly used password and spraying them across different accounts. All right, using them to try to log into different user accounts. That is password spraying attack. So attackers work to steal the password file or the file of a password digest. Remember that when we talked about integrity, we said your users don't your systems don't often store password, but they do store the hash. Before now, there was an attack type called pass the hash, where they could actually use the hash to authenticate, but that is no longer possible. So they can also load that file onto their own computers and then use a sophisticated password cracker, which is the software that breaks password, to actually crack the password digest. Okay. Then we also have offline brute force attack. Offline brute force attack, they use stolen digest. So in this case, the attacker uses password cracking software to create digest for every possible letters, numbers, and characters that are then matched to stolen password digest. So they look at the password digest, they look at real passwords and characters and try to see where there is a match. So they've stolen the digest, they have gotten a combination of possible letters and numbers and characters, and calculating the digest of those to see if it matches the existing digest that they've got, and then use that to figure out what the password is. Okay. Then there is also dictionary attack. So in dictionary attack, the attacker creates digest of common dictionary words and compare them against stolen digest. That way, they know the password that the user has used. Then we have credential. That's why I said, who says your password has to be in English? Then you also have credential stuffing attack. So with credential stuffing attack, it occurs when attacker injects stolen username and password across multiple websites. So they've compromised, for example, I think we checked on this, I don't know if we did, but if we didn't, there is this website that organizations use and you could also use to check if your password has been compromised or your email has been compromised. So it's called Have I Been Pwned? I'll pick the link and put it in the chat. So if we go to Have I Been Pwned, and everybody could do that now, go to Have I Been Pwned? All right, let's do it real quick. Go to Have I Been Pwned and find your email address for Have I Been Pwned. .com and check if any attack. Okay, just put your password and check. So mine has been part of 11 data breaches. Anybody else? Mine is 11. Mine is 11. What about yours? Greg, how many? Devin, how many? Devin, you're quiet today. What's going on? James, how many data
Yes, ma'am.
breaches has your email?
I'm checking
15,
right
Greg.
now.
Ooh.
I have 33 data breaches.
What? I bet you've had that email address for about 20 years.
Yes.
Or Devin,
Holy cow.
Devin, you're just hoping this email address. There's no way anyone who has email address at least 5 years old will not have. Okay, as 2. Milton, 0. No, Milton, when did you open this account? Yesterday? I'm just messing with you. But but yes, there is no way. Philip, how many? So what happens when we talk about credential stuffing attack? What happens is what happens with credential stuffing attack is See, mine has been a part of 11 data breaches. There is Cynthian credential stuffing threat, which is most recent, which was last year. There was Advanced AutoPath in June 2024. There was Gemini in December 2022. Now, you see here, they stole my email address and my password, right? They stole my email address and my password from these guys. They stole, with Advanced AutoPath, they stole my email address, my name, my phone number, and my physical address from Advanced AutoPath. Here it was my partial phone number and email address, my email address with Robinhood, my email address, name, social media profile, username with Twitter, and so on and so forth, right? So it's like for Cynthian, imagine that they've stolen my email address and password. And so their idea is to try to find out, the idea behind credential stuffing is trying to find out if I've used the same email address and password on other websites as well. So now they go to my online banking, use the same email and password that they have stolen, or go to different accounts, my social media, see if they and maybe they are successful, because we all do this where we use username and password, right? And so credential stuffing is when they use username and password that they've stolen from a certain website or that they've found to be successful, and then they spray it across different they use it across different platforms to be able to get access. So that's why password reuse is not good. So I want us to take a moment, just 5 minutes. I want you to take a look at real world incident that has occurred as a result of credential stuffing attack. Find real world incident that has occurred as a result of credential stuffing attack. Which real world incident has occurred as a result of credential stuffing attack? Which real world incident has occurred as a result of credential stuffing attack? Let's go, let's go, let's go. 5 minutes.
How about the MGM, hotels and casino?
Okay, let everybody find something and then we'll talk about it one at a time.
Okay.
A lot of times I would love for you guys to, read it and then you just explain from your understanding what happened, how it could have actually been prevented. Okay. So what did we find? What did we find? James, let me hear about the MGM one. Let's go.
All right, the MGM had a breach of over 1.7 million records where the accounts were stolen, meaning their MGM cards that they use for gambling, hotel reservation information, so your primary identity information was stolen, and they had to compensate over $1.2 billion in restitution to the 1.7 million victims. Each person getting like I think it said like $67 per person, but they had to revamp their security protocols and had to do an overhaul of their entire casino and hotel networking systems.
Exactly. So what could have been done differently?
They could have had like some type of sophisticated alerting system to let them know when the first breach came. That actually caused a firewall or a multiple firewall protection activation, and they also could have alerted everyone that was victims that they were revamping and sending out new what do you call it, those cards that they send out for casino gambling cards, to make sure that they protected the infrastructure of the system.
That is very good.
Thank
Philip shared Roku in March and April 2024. Philip, you want to share more details with us on that?
Yeah, I'm looking at the compromise of 591,000 customer account total hackers use stolen credential with login breach. 400 account, roughly 400 account were used
How
for
many
unauthorized
accounts?
network. 400,
400?
yeah.
That's a
For,
low. That's not
um,
much. Okay.
used for unauthorized purchase.
Okay. Anybody else? The same thing that happened with MGM right about the same time period. It also happened at Caesar's Palace. The same thing also happened with 23andMe. They use account of a user, account of a customer, or let me say account of a user that was gotten from another data breach and they got access. Anybody else have any other real world incidents that they'd like to share with us? Okay. All right. So that's it with credential stuffing. So we see clearly that account password reuse is often not the best. The best thing to do is to have unique passwords, but then you need a credential manager or the credential management software. So the credential management software like your Google Pass is one that keeps all of your passwords. When it keeps all of your password, the only password you need to know now becomes the password of this credential management solution. Is it 100% foolproof? It is definitely a single point of failure. Is it 100% foolproof?
No, ma'am.
Definitely not. When you do use it, go ahead, James.
I was just saying, no, ma'am, it was not.
Yes. So it's not 100% foolproof. LastPass is a company that provides credential management solution, and they were hacked, I think, in 2022 or 2023, if I'm not mistaken. When was LastPass? They even suffered multiple. Okay. They have a more recent one that happened in June. The 2022 one was the one that led to multi-million-dollar settlement. It was huge. Their vault was exfiltrated. Cyber criminals compromised. I'm reading this one. Clue, a third-party AI market intelligence platform utilized by LastPass. The attacker stole OAuth token held by Clue and used them to access LastPass customer data within the Salesforce CRM environment, exposing unencrypted customer names, phone numbers, emails, physical addresses, customer support case details, and sales data. Vault security, LastPass confirmed that its internal infrastructure was unaffected and no password vaults were compromised. Okay. And so they were in the business of helping keep passwords, and they themselves were actually compromised. The legal settlement was about $24.5 million class action settlement, which was a big deal. Then when it comes to password attacks too, there's what is called a rule attack. A rule attack conducts statistical analysis on the stolen password that is used to create a mask to break the largest number of passwords. What does this mean? There are three basic steps in a rule attack. The first thing is the first step is to get a small sample of stolen password plain text file. All right, the attackers obtain stolen password in plain text. Everybody here knows what a plain text is. Then they will conduct statistical analysis on the sample to determine the length and the characters set of that password. And then the final step, a series of masks is then generated that will be most successful in cracking the highest percentage of that password. All right, that is rule attack. Is more so a statistical analysis that they perform. Okay. All right. Then when it comes to something that you have everybody knows again is the OTP, is when you combine what you know and what you have, or the different concepts, two or more, that makes for multi-factor authentication. Okay. A more secure option is using a dedicated token key or security key. Okay, and this security key is often a feature where the key pair is burned into, it's just small USB type kind of keys, where the key pair is burned into that security key by the manufacturer, and then you can plug it to your devices and use it for multi-factor authentication. So you probably just put your fingerprint on it. That's all a form of multi-factor authentication. Then you also have smart cards, like the PIVs that the US government uses. These are also something that you have and use to authenticate. Yeah, this is something like those security keys that you put on your computer for authentication. Then something that you have, your physiological biometrics. There are different unique characteristics of the human body that can be used. You have the retina scan, you have the biometrics, your fingerprint, your facial geometry. Some are embraced more than the other, all right? So there are some that they are highly intrusive, like the retina scan, but there are some that are less intrusive, like the like the fingerprint, like the facial geometry. They are less intrusive. Okay, so when it comes to scanning biometrics, there are two kinds. There is a static fingerprint and there is dynamic fingerprint. So the static fingerprint takes a picture and compares with the image that it has on file. The dynamic one uses what is called a small slit or opening. It takes different, it scans the different veins, or no, not veins, it's different prints on your hands, and whether, during the registration, whether you are placing your fingerprint sideways, front facing, it still gets accurate. That's the dynamic fingerprint scanner. We see all that in the latest smartphones. Then we have other human characteristics that are used, like somebody's vein, the way somebody works, and things like that. Walks, I should say. Then voice recognition too. Voice recognition, iris scan, of course, a little more intrusive. Facial recognition is more so your facial geometry, taking the different nodal points of the person's face and using that for authentication. The disadvantage of biometrics is that you need specialized hardware. They are not cheap, and then the readers can have errors. There are two kinds of errors. We have false rejection rate and false acceptance rate. So false rejection rate is when someone that needs to be accepted is rejected, and false acceptance rate is when someone that should be rejected is accepted, right? I've seen twins, being able to unlock each other's phones. I think that we need to do better than that, but yeah, the technology hasn't been perfected to that point yet. So biometric systems can also be tricked as well. And a final concern with biometrics is the efficiency rate. Like I said, false rejection rate and the false acceptance rate. There needs to be a balance between that to measure accuracy and efficiency. Okay, let me take a pause. What are your questions? All right. So then we also have cognitive biometrics. Cognitive biometrics, like cognitive, something that knowledge. So cognitive biometrics is more knowledge-based. For example, you see where it says, oh, drag this puzzle to the right points. Or you see things where it says, touch or click on all the fire hydrants in the picture. Or it could be certain calculation. And these are because when an attacker or attackers do not necessarily have the patience to log into user accounts one by one. Oftentimes they use automated processes. So those automation really don't understand the captcha, or really don't know how to, they don't have the cognitive ability to be able to respond to such questions. So that's where the cognitive biometrics comes in. Okay. Then you also have something you do, like I said, the dynamics of your strokes. what one person is able to do, the flight time, the dwell time. Okay, so here's a quick question. Hamale is researching elements that can prove authenticity. Which of the following is based on unique biological characteristics? A, B, C, or D? Something you exhibit, something you are, or something you have, something you are, or something about you? A,
Something
B, C, or D?
R C.
C, something you are, something you had. That is the biological characteristics of an individual. Okay. Let's take about 7 minutes, stretch, drink water, and we'll be back at 7:20.
Okay.
Are we back? Okay, let's continue. Are we back though? Can I get a yes?
Yes, Professor, I'm back.
Okay, very good. One person is back. Two. All right. So, securing passwords. How do we secure passwords? One method or that the system uses in protecting the password digest is what is called salting. What is a salt? What is salt? You use it to you add it to the meal to bring out the taste, to make it tasty. So salting is also used in password protection, where passwords are protected by adding random strings. So take, for example, my password is Mary. Random strings are added to Mary before it becomes hashed, right? So it is Mary, then maybe some strings before and after Mary, around Mary, and then it becomes hashed. That is salting. So the salting makes dictionary attacks and brute force attack much slower, and it limits the impact of what is called a rainbow table. Then we also have peppering. So you have salt and pepper. Salting is when random strings is added to the user's password before hashing. However, peppering is where the message digest is created as normal. So Mary is hashed as normal. Then it is encrypted using symmetric encryption key before it is being stored. Okay, so peppering is Mary is hashed, the password is hashed. Once the password is hashed, it is then encrypted using symmetric encryption key before it is stored. Then there is a more secure approach to securing password that is called key stretching. Key stretching is when specialized password hashing algorithm is used intentionally to slow processes of password attacks down. How? There are three kinds of algorithm. It's like hashing multiple times or encrypting multiple times. All right, that's what key stretching is about. Okay, then using password vaults like the likes of LastPass, 1Password, Google Pass, Samsung Pass. There are different password vaults. Although a single point of failure, like we write those are password manager. I'm tripping. Those are password managers. Password vaults are often used. They are like the HashiCorp vaults. They are more sophisticated than the password manager. Password managers are applications. Password vaults are highly protected databases that organizations use to protect their organization's password. This is one of them. HashiCorp Vault is one that is very popular. I'm sure that there are others as well, but HashiCorp Vault is one that I know that is really, really very popular. And organizations use it to store credentials. Then we have hardware password keys that uses hardware-based password manager. So it's not the software, but hardware version of the password managers. These are password keys. Okay. And this is what they look like. This is what those password keys look like. Then finally, best practices, use secure password policy. Okay, use secure password policy for your computers. Use the secure password policy. Change default passwords. Prohibit password reuse. And this can be configured at an administrative level for the entire organization. Make sure password expires. Make sure password age is set to at least 1. When a user joins, provision properly. When they leave, deprovision, suspend the accounts immediately. Very important. Then I think that's about it with password protection. What questions do you have before we move to other forms of authentication technologies? Okay, now let's move to other authentication methodology technologies. And these authentication technologies are pretty much leveraged from between applications and servers. So this one, I would love for us to actually give some of us, how many people are in class? Let me see, 7 of us. So I would want for us to actually do a quick research on each one. So Devin and Greg. Devin and Greg, I will assign to you single sign-on. So Devin and Greg, single sign-on, SSO. Ahmed and James, I want you to tell me, do a quick research on federated identity
Okay.
or identity federation. And Miguel, there's something called SAML. Tell me about that. Who else is here? Milton Philip. Milton. I'll assign you LDAP. And then Philip. There's a technology called OAuth. I want you to tell me what that is. I've shared in the chat. You're explaining those to us in class. Okay, let's do that real quick. 5 minutes. Let's do a quick research on those. Okay, Devin, Greg, let's go. What you got?
So a single sign-on is pretty much um just putting in like one form of like just your password and getting in. It's no multi-step authentication or anything like that.
Nope. Devin, no, go back, go back, go back. Do that research again. Greg, what did you find?
Oh, that was me.
Oh, okay. Devin, it's when you sign in once and you gain access to multiple things. That is it. You sign in once and you gain access to multiple things. Single sign on. Sign in once, get access to multiple things. Hamid.
Um, a federated identity is just a framework that links users' identity across multiple domains. So they sign in once and then they have access to other sites or other organizations.
Okay, very good. James.
Yes, ma'am. So, what I found out about the federated identity is that it's a framework that links users' digital identity across multiple distinct security domains, such as AWS or Okta. And I'm familiar with using Okta for one of my former employers, excuse me. It allows users to authenticate once, like the SSO, with a trusted identity provider known as an IDP and seamlessly access different applications and services without creating new credentials for each one of them. The benefit of it is that it enhances security to reduce password fatigue. It centralizes the control for the IT administrator who can instantly grant or revoke an employee's access to all connected applications from a single dashboard. And it improves experience for users to spend less time logging in and trying to manage multiple accounts when they can just rely on the system of the federated identity.
Very good. Very, very good. That is brilliant. So now, what's the difference between single sign-on and federated identity?
There actually is no difference because the enterprise SSO employee uses their single corporate login to access both on-premises tools and third-party SaaS applications. So service as a software as a service application is the SSO, which is the same common use case as the federated identity.
There is a distinct difference between the two of them. Ahmed, do you want to share the difference between the two of them? As they do the same thing, but there is a difference between the two of them.
Oh, right. One has a digital identity, and the other one just have the sign-on identity,
No,
one-time sign-on.
that's not the unique difference.
Okay.
That's not the unique difference. Ahmed.
From what I got is that federated identity allows you to move across different organizations, while SSO allows you to move across like different apps still in that domain organization.
Beautiful. That's the difference.
Hamid.
That was James, right?
Yes, ma'am.
That's the difference, James. The difference is that SSO is within an organization, whereas federated, like federal, federation, is between organizations. So
Okay.
if you want to open, for example, you want to open an account with Best Buy, and Best Buy says open with Google or continue with Gmail, create an account with Gmail. That is different organization. That is federation. But when you log into Google, like I'm logged into my Gmail right now, and I'm able to access YouTube, owned by Google, Gmail by Google, Google Meet by Google, Google Drive by Google, Photos by Google, Sheets, Slides, Classroom, all these are Google apps. But did I log into each one of these apps? No, I only logged into my Gmail account.
As an SSO, right?
That is SSO.
Okay.
Okay, so with federated identity, like you mentioned, which is that's a very brilliant point. There is an IDP involved. So the identity provider is federating the identity across different organizations. So I want to open a Facebook account and it says continue with Gmail. Yes, that's federation.
Gotcha.
But single sign-on, I log into Facebook and it lets me into Instagram, still within the same organization.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay. Miguel, Samuel.
SAML is the open standard that allows secure web domains to exchange the user authentication and authorization.
Oh, you sound so far away.
Oh, my bad. It's because I'm driving home from work right now.
Oh,
It's
okay.
But I can repeat it for you if you need.
Yeah, please, Miguel.
SAML is the open standard that allows secure web domains to exchange the user authentication and authorization of data.
Very good. That is the language with which those authentication and authorization data is being exchanged across those different security domains. Who has LDAP? Milton, LDAP. It says LDAP is a digital phone book that allows people to verify users. Okay, his mic is broken. So LDAP is a digital phone book that allows people to verify users. So yes, it is the protocol, similar to how you have your phone book. The organization has a phone book of a directory of every user and every computer. So all users within the organization is logged in the Active Directory. Now, the protocol that the Active Directory uses, or that is used to pull the information from Active Directory for authentication, is the LDAP, the Lightweight Directory Access Protocol. Okay, right. So SAML is an XML standard. It allows a user's login credential to be stored with a single IDP instead of being stored on each web services or servers providers platform or servers. It allows for web exchange of user authentication and authorization, and it's an open standard. Again, LDAP is makes it possible for applications to be able to access the Active Directory, whether that be a database, application, devices, whatever that is, right? Who has OAuth? Did anybody get OAuth? Yes, Philip.
OAuth is open authorization is a secure industry standard protocol that allows third-party application to access data. And instead of giving your credential to new website or app, OAuth work through a delegate token system.
Yeah.
Like Google or Facebook, as you just said.
Yes. That is the framework for federation, for identity federation. All right. Then we have OpenID. OpenID is an open standard decentralized authentication protocol, and it is used in OAuth 2.0 as standard means of user identification. We also have Shibboleth. Shibboleth is also an open source software package for designing single sign-on. So it uses federation standards to provide sign-on and exchanging attributes. Okay. Then we have passkeys. Passkey is also a secure authentication technology. A lot of times these days, or a lot of applications nowadays have passkeys created. So passkeys are methods of storing authentication information on your hardware. So once you have authenticated, you're a valid a user, use your my biometrics, then a passkey can be created and stored on your hardware, on the device that you are logging in with. So the passkeys don't rely on password. They actually combine multiple authentication factors into one single package that is managed in your device's operating system. Passkeys are also discoverable, which means that an enrolled device can automatically push a passkey through an encrypted means to another device that is attempting to sign in. So as long as the authentication and authorization is valid, you can pass it from one device to another. Okay. So which one of these is not key stretching? Which one of these is not key stretching? A, B, C, or D?
There you go. London, you go back.
Philip, mute yourself. Yes, D. It is MD5. MD5 is for hashing. MD5 is an hashing algorithm. It is not a key stretching algorithm. It's an hashing algorithm, not a key stretching algorithm. Let me take a moment to answer questions that you might have. What are your questions?
First, I apologize about that, Professor.
No problem, Philip. Okay, all right. So the next section is pretty much the access control schemes. Now, we talked about all of these technologies, all of these access authentication methodologies. How are they applied? How are they applied? So these access control schemes really focuses on the application and administration of all of the technologies, access methodologies, and technologies that we've shared. How is access granted? Yes, we know you could use biometrics, but how? What is what is influencing how access is being granted? So we have some access control methodology that is called discretionary access control. When you say something is discretionary, what do you mean? This discretionary access control. It says something is discretionary.
It means private.
It is what?
Private.
Not necessarily discretionary. Yes, it's private, but that's another word for discretion.
Secret.
Mm,
Encrypted.
you're talking technical. Talk just so since they say something, I want you to respond to this based on your discretion. Your own volition, right?
Okay.
When they say something is discretionary, like it means that it's of your own volition. So when they say discretionary access control, it is access control methodology where access is granted to the user based on the owner of the data's, out of the owners of the data's free volition. So it's their own free will, it's their volition. It's based on what they think is best. So discretionary access control scheme is actually the least restrictive type of access control because first of all, I want you to understand two concepts: the concept of object and subject. When you say object is what is being accessed, I should say. Then subject is the entity attempting to access. So discretionary is where access is granted to the subject pretty much based on the owner of the object's discretion, right? So I created this policy. I feel like, well, Hamid should have access to it. Miguel in engineering should also have access to it. Devin in business should have access to it. It's based on my discretion, and it is least restrictive because it has two major weaknesses. It relies on a person's decision, not necessarily security settings or security policy. Is my decision. And permissions will be inherited by any program that the subject executes. So if I'm granting it, if I grant you access, there's possibility of inherited access with discretionary access control. So then there is mandatory access control. When you say something is mandatory, another word for mandatory,
But mandatory would be it's necessary. A
yeah,
must.
it's compulsory. It is compulsory.
Yes.
Compulsory. So with mandatory access control, users are assigned control according to the custodian's strict characteristics of the entity of the object and the subject. So it combines two elements. It combines the element of the object as well as the element of the subject. So what does this mean? Users will have labels or will have levels. So users in the government, you have users having clearance, top secret clearance, secret clearance, public trust. You have these levels of clearance, right? That is the subject's level. That's a subject's label. Then the object will also have its own label. So the objects will have whether these are public systems, these are top secret systems, these are secret systems. They also have their own label so that it is only a user with top secret clearance that can access systems that are classified as top secret or data that is classified as top secret. Okay, so it's taking into consideration both the subject and the object. Okay, Microsoft Windows uses this mandatory integrity control that ensures data integrity by using security identifier SIDs in their operating system. That's a typical example, apart from the mandatory access control that you see in the government. Then you also have role-based. If something is role-based, it's based on your role within the organization. All right, you are in finance, you have access to finance data. You are in marketing, you have access to marketing data. Access is assigned based on the roles that the user performs within the organization. Then you have rule-based. Rule-based is used for managing access to one or more systems by using rules. For example, your firewall. Firewall says if it is HTTPS traffic coming from anywhere to this web server, allow. That is a rule, right? So you see that in firewalls. Then we also have what is called attribute-based access control. Now, with role-based access control, a lot of times users get excess access. So a more granular approach to role-based access is attribute-based access control. And attribute-based access control is based on the attribute of the subject of the object and the attribute of the subject. So this is, even though I'm in, for example, even though I'm in engineering department, however, I do not build software. I'm not a builder. So I shouldn't have access to building software. So these resources have tags. Now, these tags are tags such as database. If it's a database system within engineering, it should only be accessed by database administrators. So it has that tag. Some the tag can be even read-only access to the database. Some will have write access to the database. Some will have, oh, these ones can create S3 buckets. These ones cannot create S3 buckets. So each of those systems have tags, and the attributes is what is determining whether access is granted or not. Okay. Then this is a table explaining each one of them. Mandatory access control, again, end user cannot set this control. It is the most restrictive. Is based on the level of the subject and the label of the object. Discretionary is the least restrictive because the subject has control over the object. The owner is doing things based on their own discretion. Role-based access control assigns permission based on particular role of the individual within the organization. It is a more real-world approach, but it's not the most secure approach. Then the rule-based dynamically assigns roles to subject based on the set of rules, like the way you see your firewall works. Then they are really used to manage users to access to one or more systems, or system to system access. Then you have attribute-based access control, and this uses policies that can combine different attributes. So there are tags, resources are tagged. When those resources are tagged, those tags are actually used to determine who has access to what. Okay. All right. So, and we also have access control lists. These are sets of permissions that is attached to an object. These are lists of specific things that an object is allowed to do or not allowed to do. We see that in file system. We see access control on switches, on routers, on switches, networking devices, or even servers. And so some disadvantages of access control lists is inefficiencies, and when they become really long, it becomes really hard to manage. They become really hard to manage at scale. So that's the downside of access control. They say, for example, let me show you access control list example. There should actually be a screenshot. So let's see. Looking for, not what I'm looking for. Let's see this. Okay, this one is better. So take, for example, this. This is access list 101. It says permit TCP protocol. From this source to this destination, and this is the service, or this is the port, telnet. So it's allowing this server 10.0.0.0 to be able to telnet to 192.168 all right. Then the second one is FTP. This other one is HTTP. By the way, all these are insecure protocols that is permitting. See, deny. This is a typical example of what an access control list looks like on a network device. So as they grow, they become difficult. As the list grows, it becomes difficult to manage at scale. Okay. So, which access control scheme uses flexible policy that can combine attributes? I already states it's the attribute-based access control. Attributes of the object, attribute of the subject, different platforms that they are trying to access as well. So I want you to take a moment to rate your competencies on the scale of 1 to 5, to see whether when you get questions to describe the different types of authentication, list authentication, best practices and technology, and talk about access control methods, how well you will do with that. This session is recorded. You will see it on Canvas under Panapto videos, and then you could go there and use that and go through reviews from there. What are your questions?
We said we can find a recording class again.
Yes, it's on. So when you go over here, when you go to Panapto videos, where it says Panapto videos on Canvas, you will see the videos, all the recording. Once we're done with the today's class, it will generate the asset here, and you will be able to see the videos there. You could go back there and review those videos.
All right, thank you. I got you. I was looking for them, but I couldn't find it. Thank you.
Okay.
Excuse me. I'm sure you heard of the resource on Professor Meso. I'm also using that to study for Security Plus. I
Yeah.
just wanted to know if you follow the same structure as he does, domain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can't you see if I can use this class and his videos to study for the exam?
You can definitely use this class and the videos. I don't believe that our structure is the same. I don't believe that the structure is the same.
Yeah, I've been finding difficulties seeing it.
Say that again.
Yeah, I've been finding difficulty like correlating it, finding the topic for the topic there. So
Yeah, but the content is the same. I just don't know that Professor Mentor's the way he lines up the domains is the same way the college lines up the domains. I don't believe it is the same.
okay.
However, the content is still the same. So yes, please use as much resources as you. I also have some additional resources. If you go on the additional resources here, you will see some of Professor Messer's there's a PDF. There's a PDF doc here. That's a resource that I've provided to students in the past. There are DOMS and practice exam questions as well, and books. So if you go to additional resources, you'll see those resources there, and then you could use those resources. This is a course note from Professor Messer. It follows the same thing, for example, or it's just the way it's lined up is different, right? So we covered this general concept, but we separated encryption. All right, we separated encryption, talked about PKI, that was a different domain, hashing that that was domain 3 and domain 4. We did application vulnerabilities, endpoint vulnerabilities, where we covered cross-site scripting. So the content is the same, but the arrangement might not be the same. Okay.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. So, but
So
yeah.
what we
What's
went over
the-
today, where would that be considered in this?
Say that again?
What we went over today, where would this be considered in this table of contents that you're sharing?
This table of content is additional resources. So the benchmark is not against this. This is not the benchmark. The benchmark that you should actually be thinking about is the CompTIA Security Plus. But what we covered today, let me show you. CompTIA. So there are 5 domains. Domain 1, general concepts, threats, vulnerability, security architecture, security operations, and programming. So what we have covered today, if I check in the details, will be on still in domain 2. I would believe, yeah, I believe it will be in domain 2, where, hold on 1 second. Let me check the actual study guide. Yeah, identity and access management, domain 2. No, it's actually domain 4. Domain 4. Identity and access management is under domain 4, security operation. Okay, so the arrangement is different, but the content covers everything. Okay? Any other questions? Okay. One of the different technologies that you will come across, especially in your interaction and in the cloud, these different services actually exist already in on-prem and in the cloud. So, for example, AWS have AWS IAM, which is their service, their identity and access management service. They have AWS SSO, I think it became Identity Center or something like that. So there are different cloud services that you will come across that does access, that is identity and access management. Then they also have this AWS Identity and Access Management Policy Simulator. And that is a tool that helps administrators simulate the policies that they are creating. So when you want to create an identity and access management policy, you use this policy simulator to simulate what that policy is going to look like or what the policy is going to do when applied to production. So those are some of the services that are available out there for access management in the cloud. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. If, for example, an employee, okay, so take, for example, an employee uses single sign-on to log into multiple systems, right? And one day, the single sign-on provider experiences a major outage, okay? And users can't access anything. What kind of issue is this considered as? I've mentioned this in this during the course of today's class. What kind of risk, or what are the risks relating to having these types of centralized authentication, and what backup plans should be in place? What backup plans should be in place, and what are the risks of having this centralized authentication? Yeah, single sign-on is good for convenience and all that. But like I mentioned, it's a single point of failure. So the entire business can be paralyzed. So organization would normally have things such as a non-SSO break glass account. So this non-SSO break glass account doesn't go through the SSO. It is maintained locally so that if anything goes wrong, these type of accounts can be used to restore the system. It can be used to disable the single sign-on integration because there has been a compromise. So these are some of the questions that, you know, you should be thinking about. Like, okay, there's a failure based on single sign-on, what can be done? All right. Okay. If there are no other questions, I'll see you guys back here on Wednesday.
Thank you, Professor.